Well, I don't think we've abandoned Afghanistan, because once the Americans indicated they were coming out, you couldn't possibly stay, could you?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
what sort of force could Britain have put in? As the Defence Secretary, Ben Wallace, has made absolutely clear, if one country just stays in Afghanistan, we then become an occupying force.
That's true.
So we're then the enemy. So that's going to cause a lot more trouble, you know. So there's 28 countries in NATO. America's at the top of that, so that leaves 27. The 27 countries didn't put a force together sustainable to keep Afghanistan under control. We provided 70% of the troops were there and all the military was there. Nobody could possibly have expected us to stay. I don't think we should have been there in the first place.
Right.
You know, we talked just before we came onto this programme that if the West want to start going to countries in the Middle East, into Asia, and start imposing Western ways, they need the will of the people to do it. And one of the reasons all this has happened so rapidly in the last 48 hours is because actually quite a lot of the Afghanistan people are happy now to go back and live under the control of the Taliban.
Well, I just think they're sick of fighting.
Not only are they sick of fighting, I'm sorry, Shane, not only sick of fighting, but remember, that country is divided into very distinct regions.
Yes.
Each have their own warlords. They each want to run their own little constitutions, and it'll go back to that.
Right.
I think I agree with part of what you said, Mike, although some of your choicer words people may take offence to. I don't think there's going to be many, hundreds of thousands or millions of people who are saying that they are willingly happy to have the Taliban control them. Especially, I would have thought.
Do you think it's
especially? I would say, if I could just finish my point. When it comes to women and children, we already know the human rights violations that have taken place against women and children. And as you've just heard from your guest now, Tricia, with Sam, the biggest fear for many people across the UK is you don't want to go back 20 years. But I do agree with you on the point that, as you've just said, Defence Secretary Ben Wallace has talked about, even today, he's making the rounds in all the news. This country, this fantastic country of ours and this island cannot do it alone. So it is about a Western, different countries coming together and working together. And there's no way that the UK could have done this by themselves.
And when you look at the cost, 63.7 billion pounds has been spent on building up Afghan security forces. 457 UK service members killed, 2,448 American service people, 66,000 Afghan national military and police killed, 47,000. I mean, the figures are...
What I'd like to add to what you've said, and I think all of us will agree, is that we are so proud of our servicemen and servicewomen of this country who have given up their lives, given up their families, the amount of human costs that we as a country have paid when it comes to the last 20 years in Afghanistan. I don't think anyone will dispute that. It's understandable, though, when you are seeing the images that you've just shown yourself, Tricia, this morning, as to why so many of us Brits are concerned, because it's 20 years of sacrifice and money, taxpayers' money that we have all put into. But the one thing we can take away from this is it's 20 years that we have helped in educating women and children. You cannot uneducate someone.
No, you can't. And let's hope we're as willing to take in those refugees that will undoubtedly come to this country.
Yes, but you can't uneducate somebody, but the oppression they're going to suffer now because they're educated is enormous. And just to come back on the point you said to me, I don't think all these people are willing to live on the Taliban, it will now revert to a totally male-dominated society. That's what I meant. And when you think that the army had been built up to 300,000 and been trained by the West,
but not trained enough.
All men, 300,000 men, and they haven't resisted any of the advances of the Taliban. And the point I'm making is that army just melted away and joined the other side.
If we couldn't fight them, if the Russians fled, the British fled, the Americans have gone, how do you expect the Afghan forces to be more successful?
I'm not saying they should. What I'm saying is that's what happened. That army of 300,000 has evaporated.
Let's ask what